Welcome to the Coach Toolbox. I'm your host, Dr. Ajay Nangalia, a leadership coach and counselor. This channel supports your professional and personal development as a leader with research-based and practice-focused learning. And we bring you the best career and life advice from guests who've been there and done that successfully. And now, our session today. Let's talk today about something none of us like to talk about, openly at least. And it's about office politics. So when it comes to office politics, many of us shy away from it because it seems to have a negative connotation. In our minds, we think of backstabbing, playing underhand games, hypocrisy, lack of trust, gossiping, and so on. No one is open enough to say, I love office politics, I'm good at it. Yet, there are so many who become part of it, knowingly or unknowingly, willingly or unwillingly. So in our conversation, let's understand what's behind this term and how to manage office politics. So when someone says, I don't do office politics, my sense is that they are not being very truthful or they are being extremely naive. Reality is that if you want to thrive or even survive in the corporate world, you need to relook at office politics and learn to navigate the political landscape very shrewdly. Else, there are strong chances that you will get left behind or you will be unnoticed. So cutting directly to the main point, here's a more helpful way to look at office politics. It's the management of human interactions and relationship dynamics within a specific organization context with the aim that your interests are in the forefront as much as possible. So let me repeat this understanding once again. It's the management of human interactions and relationship dynamics within a specific organization context with the aim that your interests are in the forefront as much as possible. You see, understanding it this way removes much of the negativity associated with the term. It sets a positive intention and keeps focus on healthy relationship behaviors. Now, let's also not be naive. Learning to manage human dynamics in an organizational context, earlier we'd have used the word office politics, does not mean that you will always get your way or that people won't break your trust or do sneaky things behind your back. But it does mean that you have a strategy and skills to understand human behavior and organization dynamics and the organization culture so that you are able to look after your interests as much as possible. And don't think that political savvy can replace great performance. To succeed, you need large doses of political savvy, but foundation is great performance. Now, there's no one easy formula or sequence of steps to manage in a complex and competitive workplace, but you can incorporate strategies that put you in a strong position. If there are human beings around you, then there's politics. Because each individual has their own emotional needs, own emotional baggage, fears, insecurities, personality quirks, and their own agenda. And no two human beings are completely aligned in all these factors. So friction is built into the structure. Therefore, let's learn to work with it rather than fight it or hide from it. So here are some strategies that you can make work for you so that you become better at managing the dynamics of your workplace and getting the best that's possible for you given the context and culture of the organization. So strategy number 1, understand the culture of your workplace. Not just the stated culture or the words that are talked about in public meetings or the posters on the wall, but the real culture that is demonstrated by behaviors and actions. Once you start understanding this culture, you need to come to terms with this culture and decide if you'd like to learn to thrive in it the best that you can or if the effort is not worth it. Based on this answer, you take the appropriate action. You learn or you leave. Step 2. Next is to figure out the influencers and sources of power, especially at 1 level or 2 levels or perhaps even 3 levels above you. Have a plan to reach out to each one of these influencers. Don't restrict yourself to just your boss or boss's boss, but everyone that is influential or has a connection with your business in that particular orbit. Build these relationships. Make efforts to share your successes and be visible with this level. Now, I don't mean to say that you have to call them up every week, but over a quarter or a couple of quarters, look at ways to connect with them. If the step one is if you list these, and there should be perhaps 7 to 10 people in your list. If you list these 7 to 10 names, you will automatically see opportunities to reach out and connect with them. Number 3, make a conscious effort to build your network of connections across all levels and businesses and functions. It is this network of connections that will give you influence and the information that can assist you with getting your ideas and actions noticed and supported. Now, there's an earlier podcast, just 1 or 2 podcasts before this one, on building influence. So listen to that one, as that will give you really some sharp insights on how to build influence within the organizational dynamic context. So I'm not going to repeat that material over here. So number 4, remember how we've reframed the concept of office politics. It's the process of managing human dynamics and building relationships, keeping the culture and context in mind so that your ideas and actions get favored more often than not. This means that negative people, jerks, backbiters, gossips, and those who don't perform don't really have much long-term advantage. It's important that we learn to be team players and help other people achieve their goals and be supportive of others. People who are liked and trusted are more likely to do better than those who are not. Number 5, keep a long-term perspective in mind. Not getting that promotion or job or increment in this particular appraisal cycle is not the end of the world. Career success and growth is not linear, but it has its ups and downs, and it has its good phases and not so good phases. So if you have a long-term view of career success, you will find that it's not important to win every skirmish or battle. You have to pick the right ones and let go the rest. It's more helpful to be light than right all the time. Number 6, unless your boss is a psychopath, and I've had one like that, it's always helpful if your first priority is to help your boss succeed. Don't get petty about who gets the credit for an idea. It's your boss. And if you're so good, then you'll be having way more ideas that work than anyone else. And it's hard to hide this fact. So don't get stuck over that one idea or one issue on which the boss is supposed to be taking credit. Most bosses appreciate loyalty, and therefore you need to show loyalty and commitment to the boss's success first. As we bring our conversation on office politics to a close, remember that the starting point is changing how you look at the concept from a negative one to a positive one. Remember, it's a skill. Some are naturally good at it, others need to develop or sharpen it. But if you aspire to be a leader and rise up the corporate ladder, then it's a skill you need to refine. The most important element is that you adapt these strategies in ways that work for you and that are authentic to you, while at the same time pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. After all, that's what effective leadership is all about. Good luck.
And that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Please connect with us on coachtoolbox@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, and review this channel. Details of our ICF-approved coach training programs and our services as executive coaches and coaching supervisors are on www.globalcoachtrust.org. See you in our next session.